What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. We're breaking down our second to last wide receiver in Steve Smith Sr.'s top 10 ranked list from the 2025 NFL draft class in Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond. And this was a bit of an intriguing watch, right? I think realistically, he was everything I expected him to be as a kind of that speed demon prototype, right? And we've seen this a number of times before, right? I don't want to throw Devin Smith as the name that comes to mind out there because that wouldn't be my comp at all for him. But the Jets have swung and missed on a ton of speedy guys. So I would be relying heavily here to see somebody that can actually fit that J-Mo prototype for us here. Isaiah Bond has the potential, but we might not see like a breakout type season from him. I would have probably guess until maybe year 3, right? So with that said, 5'11", 180 pounds, you are talking about a small stature guy here. So you're going to see all of your common traits when it comes to the speed profile, as well as the negatives that are going to come with kind of his diminutive size here. He did lead his team in receptions as a sophomore with Alabama, though. So this is a guy that has a bit of that grit to him, has the ability to go out there and be a bit of a focal point in the passing attack for an offense. But I do think Texas really helped him out, where his prior connection with Sarkisian there was able to help usher him along within a more pro-style offense, as opposed to what Alabama would have been running, especially post Nick Saban. So there's definitely some improvements. I think that's the best thing that you can look for within Isaiah Bond's game tape, is the fact that you're seeing pretty tangible improvements from a route running perspective, from his ability to kind of operate out of a couple different release packages. So you feel really, really good. But he's bringing that former track background, right? A state sprint champion. I believe he actually had the #1 time in the, I want to say it was the 100 meter at one point. But still, a guy that you see the speed easily translate to the football field for himself. A former 4-star recruit. He was pretty underutilized within Texas's offense, and I think that's going to be the big drawback here. But for teams that have that creative mind within the offensive room, that look at him and say he really needed more opportunities other than anything in order to one, develop a little bit more quickly, but 2, to also see what the true flaws within his game may be, and also kind of how game breaking of a receiver he may be. This isn't your Tyreek Hill type guy. Excuse me. Although he did, there was like an announcement that he was going to break the combine record or something like that, and still ran a sub 4.4, but didn't do anything close to breaking it, right? But I think obviously the game speed is absolutely there to say that he's going to be one of the 10 fastest guys on the field in the NFL, potentially from day one. One of the things he does have working in his favor is that he's not even the best yards after catch guy, but utilizing his speed and some leverage opportunities, he was still 4th in the SEC in yards after catch per reception with 8. So this does let you know that the ceiling for him is absolutely tremendous, right? This is a guy that if he gets a chance to work in a ton of underneath routes and he's actually seeing a decent volume size, he's going to create additional chunk yard plays left and right for your offense. And it's kind of tough to project with the Jets because we already have Garrett Wilson, who kind of fulfills that particular role for us, and you can kind of switch Garrett Wilson into the slot and do whatever. It helps that Isaiah Bond was also on the boundary more often with Texas, as opposed to him working mostly out of the slot with Alabama. But you know, it's a toss-up. Do you want to live with a guy that's can get pushed around pretty easily on the boundary? Probably not. He did put up 34 receptions for 540 yards and 5 touchdowns, excuse me, in his junior year with Texas. But He did miss a little bit of time, grade 3 ankle sprain, was able to fight through it. So again, I love the grit, love the durability, love the just overall ability and foundational skill set that he's bringing. And one of the things that I do, I mentioned this a few times before, I get a little wary of sometimes as guys that may be going to multiple schools or kind of abusing the transfer portal. And I know a lot of these guys are just looking at the opportunity to get more play within an offense, but I do like somebody that stays set. I'm comfortable with what Bond was mentioning here, though, when he transitioned, and he mentioned it was pretty much a move purely driven by the fact that Nick Saban was retiring. Otherwise, I feel like he would have stayed at Alabama and figured out a way to see the field. Now, the pros here, right? Obviously explosive, off coverage, looks, things like zone coverage, opportunities, those are really going to be a non-factor to him just due to the speed, the burst acceleration, long speed, all of it, right? He has that elite top end speed, that third gear, if you will, where almost nobody in the league is really going to be able to stay within phase with him. And he's going to line guys up, stack them vertically, and he's still going to blow past these guys that are giving him, 6 to 8 yard windows off the line of scrimmage just to make sure that they can try to play some bump and run coverage with them. He snaps, at least has the ability to snap coming out of the route. So you're going to see extra yards of separation manifest instantly just because he can end up flying from left to right. And you love the idea of that, especially, again, if you get him mixed up with a creative guy or you have him working out of two-way splits in the slot. Instant accelerator, there's guys that are just quick, right? There's guys that are fast, and then there's guys like Isaiah Bond who have both, right? They can, within 2 steps, be at top speed, and then they can continue that top speed all the way to the end zone. So you're talking about a home run threat every time that he touches the ball, not only in the receiving game, but you also get looks of that with him coming out of the backfield, which you love. Tracks the deep ball pretty well, and he also brings elite stop-start ability to the table as well. So there's a number of different ways that this cat can go out here and give himself an extra couple of yards of cushion, which is going to be necessary, right? Because he has small hands. He doesn't have a great wingspan, so he's going to need those opportunities to be able to try to have that run after the catch ability, or at the very least shield himself from some unnecessary hits or guys being able to kind of bring some run-up speed to him. He's going to struggle in jump ball situations, and I think a lot of that more so is play strength rather than him not having great hands or anything like that. One of the things you'll see as well is he's kind of a body trapper with the ball when he realizes that it's going to be a catch in traffic. And again, not to question the size so much, but I'm around the same size, right? 5'10"-ish, probably about 160 something now. And if I'm going over the field with, linebackers tilting the scales at, 220 plus at times, etc., or just the freaking natures that some of these guys are, even at being a little over 200, I'm going to want to find ways to make sure that I can secure the ball and my body, and then if I can make something happen after, great. He was really a decoy option within Texas, which is, you kind of hate to see it, right? I talked about this in the Matthew Golden video where he came in and instantly took over, where you would have expected Isaiah Bond to really come in and be that guy for Texas, and that just never really materialized for him, which is why I think some people do look at him a little bit higher than maybe where you would project him, right? Which would be second, third round territory right now. Speed switch-ups within his routes would make him a lot more dynamic. He can be one of those guys, and I'm not saying this is 100% of the time, but he can be one of those guys where he's just going 100 miles per hour the entire time, right? And so it's easier actually for you to be able to track a guy that's doing some of that, especially if he's just not running something basic like a go 9 route, something like that. If there's any kind of variations, double moves and stuff like that, it's a little bit easier to find out a way to maintain balance and kind of stay in phase with somebody like that, as opposed to someone that can go up to 60, drop down to 20, take it up to 100 plus miles per hour, right? Georgia defensive backs in the playoffs showed that if he's facing some of these modern NFL cornerbacks that are bigger, taller, faster, longer, maybe not faster, right? But nonetheless, for the other items out there, he's going to have some work to do when it comes to being able to beat press. And this is a guy that ideally, if he is going to become like your Z receiver and he's covering all these underneath routes and stuff, you want him to be able to get off the line of scrimmage as quickly as possible so that if whether it's manufactured touches or him just being able to streak across the field and hopefully get some open field looks, he can take the ball and break some things off. Limited catch radius, as we talked about. And the big concern with him, he only has 99 receptions over his 3 years and only one big game of production, which was against UTSA, just going a little over 100 plus yards there. So we'll see. The comparisons for him are pretty, I guess you could say elite, right? The comps that are out there for him are definitely closer to the ceiling than anything I think you would see with him stepping out onto an NFL field on day one. But I think each of these either embody, again, what he can reach at the ceiling or kind of a similar type scenario for some of these guys that were coming out of college that maybe had the same issue in terms of a lack of production, but they will be better pros. Jalen Waddle, I think, is the ceiling guy here, but Terry McLaurin actually has a pretty similar story from a collegiate standpoint. And then I think Hollywood Brown, from kind of a play-style perspective, may also be kind of what you can expect to see out of Isaiah Bond as he kind of progresses throughout his career. But this may be one of those guys, right? I think if nothing else, Glenn's already mentioned he's going to have an affinity for speed and implementing a lot of really what made that offense in Detroit great, which was the fact that they can threaten every single blade of grass and stuff like that. So maybe a combination between kind of Detroit and how Miami has tried to build out their offense, but you're going to look for some of those guys that can play with that New York mentality. Isaiah Bond may be one of those guys. So let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you again. Peace.